So yeah, typically for this, the structure is we kind of, I mean, really, if we're being honest, the structure is we kind of talk about something completely unrelated for the first like 40 minutes or so. And then eventually we say, oh yeah, we should talk about this movie. And
We're doing pretty good. I'm at 13
And then Sarah
minutes.
yells from the background, "You're just now starting."
You're just now starting. And we have one of us like intro the movie, and then we just kind of like, you know, share general thoughts. Then we talk about our favorite quote, star rating, if there are any actors in here that go on to do cooler things, and what we'd watch instead.
Sounds good.
Does that all sound agreeable?
Sounds good.
All right. Should we do some talking about something completely unrelated for 40 minutes? Do we just jump right in? What do we feel? I know Josh has a lot of notes.
I think we should jump right in.
Oh,
I want to
let's
hear
just
Josh's
dive
I think we
right
gotta
in.
jump right in.
You got to clap us
Also-
in.
I also
Alright.
gotta know, like, what's the heat I'm bringing? Am I here as the heel? Am I calling y'all out on previous things you got wrong? Am I here just to go along with
I
it?
mean, if you have those,
Oh my gosh.
you can be the bad guy. You can be the Undertaker if you want.
Yeah.
You're allowed to. You.
I have
There
notes
is
for
no
that,
like
too.
role to fulfill. You do whatever comes naturally.
Yeah.
In that case, Hans, you once said,
Yes, do it. Be the Undertaker. Throw mankind off a Hell in a Cell 16 feet through an announcer's table. Do it.
We got to clap in first. We have to clap in first.
Okay. Are you ready?
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like old Tom.
Aaron, you're muted.
I'm not
I
muted.
can
I hear him. I hear him.
Did you mute me, Hans?
Yeah, I have him muted.
Don't gaslight.
Oh, Aaron, I turned you off.
The disrespect
The disrespect.
I think that was from
when we were playing Lethal Company.
from Lethal Company.
that also sounds like a Steven Seagal movie.
Oh,
Lethal
it
Company
does.
does sound like it could be a Steven Seagal movie. Steven Seagal is Lethal Company.
Oh.
Josh, you're already making this unpleasant. Go away.
Ugh.
Actually, I changed my mind about allowing Josh onto the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings
Okay.
us to you, Aaron.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
I'm sure I've made a million mistakes in this.
won.
He's the script doctor, and Josh is the malpractice attorney. Let's go.
Actually, one that you got wrong that I was a little upset you got wrong.
Oh
is
no.
There was
I'm
once
going
a
to be
quote.
more upset.
There was once a quote from one of the movies you mentioned on the sign. I think it was the one they were in a hospital trying to get out and they couldn't open
Yeah.
the door for some reason.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
And you talked about how great it was that they got the quote accurate.
Yeah?
You then attributed the quote to the wrong person.
Oh, what did I say?
Oh, that's an actually right there.
Yeah.
Oh!
What did I say?
Milton Brown.
Oh, it's John Milton. I know it. Right? No?
It's Dante. It's from Dante's Inferno. It's the sign as they're heading into hell.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, so
The rebuttal.
Okay, so let me talk to
it's because I realize my confusion now. It's because John Milton is quoting Dante when he writes it in Paradise Lost. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
See, here's the problem: is there's so many different things that Aaron could just say, and we'd have to trust him implicitly. And like, you don't know if he's wrong or not until you literally have a person who like read Dante's Inferno like in the original Italian to like correct him. Not to flex too hard, but flex on Josh's behalf, not on my own behalf. I have not read Dante in the original Italian.
Thank you. I was also the 2005 state champion wrestler for the 60-pound weight class.
Nice.
Just as long as we're
Nice.
Are you still in the 60-pound weight class?
that was good.
Notice
yeah,
how he
basically-
avoids the answer.
Yes.
That was a good dodge there.
That was a real pro wrestler move. So if you're listening to this, which you are because this is an exclusively audio medium, if it helps, Josh kind of just looks like a skinnier version of me. That might not help because if you don't know what I look like. So picture a guy, okay, and then picture him a good bit skinnier. Okay, that's the first one's Zach and the second one's Josh. That's whenever we say that he, might still be in the 60-pound class. That's what we're talking about.
You might want to introduce Josh for the episode and then introduce the
episode.
episode.
Just started talking about how we're all wrong. Actually, he hasn't talked about how I was wrong. He's talked about how you both were wrong before his introduction.
No, actually, one, I didn't get to Hans's, but I also didn't get to yours.
Oh, there actually was one for me?
Don't sound so surprised, Hans.
Well, I thought it was just a joke. I don't know.
Hans, in A Dangerous Man, you once asked, they would hold her ransom to who? It is to whom?
Okay.
So there's still no answer as to who that would be paid to. As to whom. It's just that I got the wording wrong.
And Zach,
Yes.
you once talked about how you were at this little record shop in Connecticut, and you found a movie.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I knew this was gonna come up.
Yeah. What was it? Siege 2?
Under Siege.
Under
Siege 2. Yep.
Dark territory.
Dr.
Yeah. You talked about how you found it, and funny enough, I remember finding that movie and giving it to you, and you saying you'd give me credit on the podcast.
What?
Ooh. Okay, in my defense, in your introduction, which we didn't get to do yet because we launched right into this, I was going to place Josh within the larger Steven Seagal lore.
Oh my god.
Which would give you at least some credit here. But that is true. Actually, I can't remember if it was Under Siege or if it was Under Siege 2 or if it was The Patriot, because I think I picked up all three of those at the same place. I know at least one of those you found and gave to me.
I feel like this is what James Somerton must have felt like when H Bomber Guy made that video.
Yeah, Josh is here. He's got the 3-hour long video, every single call out, every single incorrectly cited source.
No, that's all I got. That's all I got there.
Okay, so with that, maybe we'll actually introduce you. So hello.
Hello.
Hi. Willkommen. This is
Bienvenue.
Are you gonna correct my pronunciation there, Josh? This is Steven Seagal.
Is it?
I am Zach.
I am Aaron.
I am Hans.
And we are joined by special guest.
I'm Josh.
Special guest Josh.
I am Josh.
There you go.
I am. He is Josh.
Steven Seagal is the end of a gun, apparently.
And
that's not a saying though, right?
Because he says at the end of the movie, you might find
hold on,
yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead.
It's literally the end of a gun.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
Not the end of a gun, just end of a gun.
The end of a gun. Oh, you're right. End of a gun.
The end of a gun.
End of a gun. Oh my
Yes.
God, this is gonna. Our special guest this week, Josh. I need to point out, it is worth mentioning that he has not only a special place in our hearts, but a special place in the lore and the world building and the history of this podcast. Perhaps more than any other, actually. He is, they talk about the fifth Beatle. He is the fourth Steven Seagaler. We have perhaps belabored the point of how bad Connecticut is and how bad my trip to Connecticut was, to the point that it has become entrenched within the annals of Steven Seagal. But I do not believe I've mentioned at any point that when I was on this trip in Connecticut, hating my life because I was in Connecticut, I had a friendly soul, a kindred spirit, a kind, a good Samaritan reach out and pull me out from the gutter and say, hey, I'm less than an hour away. We can hang out, right? And that is where we went to the said used video store. And that is where I picked up my second VHS copy of Under Siege and my VHS copy of Under Siege 2 and my VHS copy of The Patriot and also a VHS copy of some early career Keanu Reeves movie that I can't remember the name of, that I said, I don't need this is stupid. And then Josh said, if you don't buy it, I will buy it for you. And then they literally gave it to us for free. I'm gonna have to look this up and put it in the show notes. I can't remember what it is. It is a Keanu Reeves movie. I don't care how big of a fan you are. It is not a movie you have heard of.
I want to say it was a love story.
Probably, but not the one with Sandra Bullock that you might know. So even if you have not heard Josh's voice, if you have listened to this podcast, you have no doubt felt his presence. So it is great to finally have him on for what is sure to be a legendary episode for a fantastic film. End of a gun.
Is it a fantastic film, though?
Okay.
So, well, I'm ashamed to say
It wasn't as bad as it could be.
it was. So this was a Josh, you lucked out. This was this was a gentle reprieve from the absolute slop we've been given the past several movies. I was talking to my dad about this. He's like really psyched about watching Beyond the Law with me, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
He like the last 2 times I've seen him, he's like, when are we gonna watch Beyond the Law? Like when is that? He didn't know there was a sequel to Be Above the Law.
A sequel. Extreme air
Steven
quotes.
Seagal doesn't know there's a sequel to Above the Law.
So like I was, because my dad was asking me questions about this whole thing. He doesn't listen to the podcast, but he doesn't listen to podcasts, but he's very interested in the whole project and he thinks it's very funny. And we were talking about just how it's impressive how Seagal has managed in every stage of his career to find new ways to make bad movies. Like, every time you think it can't get any worse, he finds a way to make it just that much worse. And I definitely thought the last couple movies were like a new stage of badness. But Keone Waxman came in and saved me. He pulled me from the cliff. Like, this isn't as bad as it could have been.
You want to know what's really funny about that?
What?
I had this thought because, like, we're watching these movies in order to, like, really see the evolution of, Steven Seagal as an artist. Even within this format, even literally watching the movies in order, it still gives you, like, a weird warped perception of things because we have made so much hay. We have, talked so much guff about how, like, we had, like, these, like, 7 Keone Waxman movies.
Yes.
And then, like, they were gone. And we were out of the... I'm not going to say we entered the dark times. We were in the dark times and we entered like the darker times. And we're like, oh, we actually miss Keone Waxman. Like, oh my God, what I would do for like, a maximum conviction versus Sniper Special Ops. But
get me a Stone Cold Steve Austin up on the screen.
But this is what's so weird about late era Seagal, that like, we're like, oh, Keone Waxman's gone. Oh, Keone Waxman's gone. We've had to watch like 3 movies without Keone Waxman and we wish we had Keone Waxman again. If you are like, listening to this like in the year 2015 or 2016 or so, like if we can send this podcast back in time, if you're a Steven Seagal fan and you're just like, damn, I really wish I had this like Keone Waxman back, he made all these movies, now he's gone, it was like 16 months.
Yeah,
like what's like when you look at it, it's like a Keone Waxman film, like one of them in like 2012, one of them in 2013, like 2 of them in 2014, one of them in 2015, and then that was the last one, and we're like, oh, Keone Waxman's gone. The next Keone Waxman one came out in 2016. It was like May of 2015 to like September of 2016. It was a normal amount of time. There was no disappearance. Keone Waxman never left us. It's just the fact that 3 other movies came out in between there. You think, oh, he's gone forever. He was making this movie while we were like watching, like these movies were made at the same time. They're all like 4 of them came, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 came out in the year 2016.
That's really
well. I was looking
rough.
at just the production schedule of this thing. End of a Gun was made in 2 months. Like the whole thing was filmed in 2 months.
That's not a surprise.
Honestly, it looks like it was filmed in less, so that's pretty good. I shouldn't say it because this is, as discussed, this is not. I'm not going to say this is a good movie.
It was a movie.
Better than the last 3 movies.
It was a movie that actually starred Steven Seagal.
Yes,
we can't say that for the past couple that we've watched.
I
literally broke me as a human being sitting through those.
I didn't feel that this
one. How long
one.
it was.
I didn't feel that this one hated me quite as much.
No. This was the most generic cliche movie possible, but like it was a generic cliche movie.
Yeah, End of a Gun doesn't like me very much, but it's not out to get me. It's not trying to hurt me. It didn't
stab you in the eyes like Sniper Special Ops did.
Yes.
Also, fun fact. More sniping in this movie than in Sniper Special Ops.
More shots are fired from the sniper rifle in End of a Gun than in Sniper Special Ops, it's by a character that is not played by Steven Seagal.
So that's what we're going with here.
This is helpful because I looked at the Wikipedia page for the movie, and under reception, they only have one review, and it was from the the actionelite.com. And it is director Keone Waxman seems to be the only filmmaker who can get Seagal to nearly put in some effort, and compared to much of his other recent movies, End of a Gun is mildly less painful to sit through.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just about summed it up.
The actionelite.com, you hit the nail on the head.
That's really it.
We should have this guy as a guest on the pod. He knows what he's talking about.
I can only concern myself with the fact that he may have also done what you're doing and watched all of these Steven Seagal movies in a row.
I hope not.
I really hope no one else has done this.
Nobody should.
We talked about it last week, Josh. We went through and I think we gathered up a list of all of the other podcasts that we know of who have tried this endeavor. And every single one of them stopped somewhere around the 30 mark or less.
Okay.
We are officially...
as far as we can find.
We're the furthest along in the project.
Yeah.
Further than anyone else could muster.
Which number is this?
This is 42? 42.
Is it 42? I thought it was 41.
Of 49.
I know.
That's
We're
further
so
along than I
close.
thought.
We're so close.
I can see the
God.
end of this gun.
The brain rot is almost over.
What happens in End of a Gun?
What happens at the end of a gun? Hey, Josh, do you
gun?
want to try the synopsis? Do you want to try to give us a synopsis of this
you know
movie?
what? That's a relief. You can take on this.
You haven't been talking
What happens
enough.
in End of a Gun? For the first 50 minutes, nothing.
Actually, sometimes the same thing twice. Literally, they'll just replay footage sometimes.
I could only gather from listening to your previous episodes and having never watched Steven Seagal before that was because his audience isn't used to having things from before matter, so they needed to remind you that you weren't paying attention. So now this is a thing that happened.
Yeah,
exactly 90 seconds ago.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay, tell us what happens, Josh.
Okay, so there's a weird opening with a woman whose accent is definitely not real. Talking to him on the phone about, I think, a party that she wants him to go to. He delivers some opening line about how he's a mysterious man and the mysterious things happen and trouble follows him, delivered without any gravity or intrigue. Then he sees that a woman and a man are fighting, and he decides to approach casually and kind of like tries to kidnap the woman away from the man. Just like starts dragging her like she's coming.
Yeah, not like intervening in this fight. Like he just grabs her and starts dragging her away.
And she doesn't look like she's looking at him for help. She's just there having this argument.
Yeah, I have in my notes. Now she has two men grabbing her.
So they end up getting in a fight. It almost looks like Steven is posed in some of the fight scenes. Not actually engaging in the fight, but posed as if he was, so they get some wider shots. But then every actual movement is just like his arms.
Yes. It's amazing how, like you said, this is your first Steven. You have not watched another Steven Seagal movie, and you already, you understand. You know what we're up against. It's a lot of that.
It's a lot of just flailing your arms in vague circles.
I mean, yeah, it was generally all of his moves. He then knocks the guy to the ground. He grabs the woman. They start walking away. Cuts back to the guy. He suddenly has a gun in his hand. He didn't pull it from anywhere. He's just hands still by his side. Has a gun. So Steven starts shooting back with his sights aligned right with his hairline. In a way that I'm sure was helpful and accurate. Ends up killing the guy. Eventually a cop shows up. He at first sounds Russian and then kind of settles into a French accent, where I think is where we learned that they're in France. Nobody took Seagal's gun, which is evident when he just hands his gun to the cop. As he's surrounded by police, it is his favorite gun. But surrounded by police, they have processed the scene. They have no idea what's happened. And nobody ever bothered to check him for a gun, which, from what I understand, he was not legally allowed to have.
Or was he? This is never cleared up.
It's not. He then says, "I'm a ghost over here. I don't exist."
Yeah, that's some.
This never comes up again.
It does in another question I have, but like, does he exist elsewhere? Is it an allusion to some past where he snuck in here because of some criminal record? Who knows? And then he goes down to the police station. He talks. He's, don't worry about it. Give me my favorite gun back, whatever. And then he just leaves. And then the cop, who I guess is his old friend, also starts yelling the dead guy's information, that he owns a club, that this is his name. And that's not clear why. He's just yelling this dead guy's stuff. Steven is not going after this guy. Seemed to be a freak incident, but whatever. He then goes to a cafe where somehow this woman finds him. They start talking. She offers to split $2 million with him if he helps get the money from the car that was impounded. Offers him sex. He turns it down. Kind of, but also accepts.
Yeah, he turns it down, and then they show him accepting it.
Yeah.
He says something like, "I'm gonna have to decline that for now."
And I imagine there was like a point where she would say, "No, I don't mean like now in this restaurant." This French outdoor restaurant where inexplicably you're not allowed to smoke.
But also,
whatever.
she asks him that. She lives
Yes.
there. He's very clearly an American. She asks him what the law is about smoking.
Even though you can see in the shot when she asks, there's a no smoking sign behind her.
And then he
clearly
says,
Seagal is not the best at knowing the laws here.
No, because then he says, "I don't know, man. It's France. You can smoke like anywhere."
Which, I've been to France. You can smoke like anywhere.
Damn, whoa, is Steven Seagal on this call with us right now?
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. So then, there's a cut to the guy that was shot, his boss, who he's supposed to get money to. He goes to his lawyer to find out why this, or gets called by his lawyer. I apologize. Trying to figure out what happened.
Ooh, for those listening at home, his lawyer is the creepy doctor from the zombie vampire movie.
You're right.
Is he really?
Yes. That's why he was vaguely familiar.
That's
is because
awesome.
he's the mad scientist from Into the Dark.
Excellent. The one that was brought up for one scene and then totally forgotten.
Yes.
There's a whole new plot line that they dropped so fast.
Yes.
Yep. Got it.
Here's where Ghost comes in, because he's a ghost, but this lawyer finds out his whole story within like 2 hours. His name, his work history, everything. How much money he has, his benefits from his leaving of the DEA.
The fact that he was like dishonorably discharged.
Everything.
Absolutely everything about this ghost of a man.
So dumb. We're only like 10 minutes in. That's so dumb.
But also, none of this matters. Let's be very clear. I feel like this is like when you've been working at like this job that just like sucks for like 30 years, and you see like the new hire come in and they still have a light in their eyes. And they still like they can make some change. They can do some good here. And you're like, no, that's not. Josh is like, oh, I'm so excited for this opportunity. And you're like, you're like, most of us drink at our desks to get through the day. That's what's happening. Because like my summaries are like, nothing happens, it's fucking boring, and then there's like one gunfight and it's over. But you're just like, I'm here, I'm so excited, I want to impress the boss.
Give like an actual synopsis of the film.
Yes. I'm like, oh, this is stuff that happened, none of it matters. But this happened.
This isn't a critique. Keep going.
No,
I need this explained
helpful
to me, because I feel like I it's just like glossed. This is another greasy movie. This one's
point
greasy.
of order, Hans.
It slides right off the brain.
Hans, when did the credits roll? How many hours ago did the credits roll?
About 45 minutes.
Okay.
Wow. Point of order.
Greasy movie. Slides right off the brain.
Greasy.
Yeah.
But I think I want to point out, you know how like there's different types of like oils and such? Like, you know how So you know how like if you have like like a vegetable oil or something, you
Yeah.
use that in like cooking, but then if you have like a cold press like extra virgin olive oil, like that has like a lower like smoke point, so you're not gonna use that in cooking. You use that for like seasoning and such. I think this is a different type of grease. This is a
leaves
different
residue
oil
for me.
Yeah, this has a different taste. Like you wouldn't use this. We've watched greasy movies before, and they're greasy because like they're overly complicated. And like you can't follow it, like it's the worst kind where it feels overly complicated but none of it matters, so it just like slides right off because of that reason. This one is not as overly complicated but still none of it matters, so it's like a different, this is like a grease you put on your salad, you don't use it for cooking. It's like a slightly different greasiness. There's a texture, the emulsion here is a bit off.
They tell you there's truffle oil in there and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't
You're like,
I
don't know about
can't
that.
taste I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
I can't taste it.
but it is greasy nonetheless.
Yeah.
Let me be clear.
I
This
guess
is not
that's
a Crisco.
fair.
This is an olive oil.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Josh. Please continue.
No, you're good. So then Seagal and the woman, Lisa, go to the impound lot.
Her name was Lisa? I didn't know that. I'm
Her
sorry.
name was Lisa.
Did they ever say that out loud in the movie?
Multiple times, Hans.
Oh.
I didn't know that either.
Whoa,
Sorry.
sorry.
Damn, I like this. This is spicy. Hans is getting called out, and I'm here for it.
Hans, just because Seagal doesn't respect women doesn't mean we don't have to.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Get his light him up.
Thank
Keep
you.
going.
Keep going.
Hans is like, okay, I'm not on board anymore. I don't like this.
But they go to the impound lot. They're sitting, they're watching, and Lisa's like, "Why don't we go in now?" And Seagal says, "We can't. You know why, sweetheart? Because darkness is our friend." Oh yeah, darkness is our friend.
There's so much of this I completely forgot about.
And then I have to note here, there are just so many flashbacks from minutes ago, because then it flashes back to their conversation they had at the cafe about going and stealing the money from the trunk of this car in the impound lot. And then has, I think, another cut back
the editor
to
had
the
some
lawyer.
fun with this.
So they're at the impound lot now. Then they leave to go to, I think, Seagal's apartment to have sex. And then afterwards, he agrees to do the job of stealing the money. He wasn't in, but he makes a point of then saying, "Okay, now I'm in, but only for half. We're going to renegotiate the deal, but I'm in now." I also make a note there that while at his place, she has her own silk robe and a change of clothes, as well as a change of underwear.
Plans ahead. Character development.
Just a continuity thing. Just met this guy at a cafe. Somehow has all of this with her, in no bag.
How do you know it's not his?
Yeah.
You know, that's fair, Hans. We do not know. We do not know if this character likes to cross-dress.
So they have sex at Steven Skull's apartment.
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh no! What do you mean? Oh no!
But also, this is where we learn that Steven Seagal's plan, when he gets the money, is to go to Key West, to see a friend.
As you do.
We then learn that this woman, who has an American accent, has never been to the U.S. and is ostensibly from France, maybe. Didn't even attempt an accent.
Never hear her speak French. Doesn't come up.
No, and I guess I really wish I spoke French for this movie, because I'm not sure if they're even speaking French. I'm not,
They are.
Oh, do you? Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
I mean, so only the background characters. Anyone with a name, like all the people with names, I don't know if they are native French speakers, except for actually the lawyer guy, who was the mad scientist in a different movie, Claude Bléant. I think he is a native French speaker, but most of the other people who are like named characters will just say like a few words in French. But if you look them up, they are like Eastern European actors.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
But yeah. So then, the bad guy goes to his lawyer to talk in person. His lawyer, who sweats profusely for no explained reason, he then asks his lawyer to use his connection at the phone company to find out where Lisa is. You know, the phone company. Just the one in France. Then we cut to then his lawyer steps in dog. Not important. Not sure. He kicks a dog and then steps in dog. No importance.
It's awful.
Then we go to Steven Seagal actually going into the impound. He just walks in as the guy happens to turn around. No sneaking. Doesn't pretend. Just walks in, cuts a lock, walks up a ramp.
He's a ghost, remember?
He then also has a
He's the only one that can do this heist.
He also has like a printed layout of the impound. There's no explanation about where this came from.
Okay, printed layout of the impound lot.
No,
it's
fair.
2 lanes.
Yeah.
They do a big old like freeze frame X marks the spot on it too. Not even joking. That actually happens.
It's like 2 lanes, and there are 10 parking spots in each lane. It's not like
It's
a
not a bank
complicated.
He's a ghost,
It
Aaron.
is-
He's a ghost.
It's a very small parking structure, is all it is.
Yeah.
But you go up. He bumps into a guy who's just like a guard who just happens to be sitting right outside the one car he's going to. They get in a fight. If you look at it, the cop is already bloody on his head from Steven Seagal grabbing his arm.
He is.
I appreciate
And
that
then-
you said if you look at it, like the implicit assumption that like if you have this on, you're not actually watching it.
No, there's
Like
a
if you watch the movie, you'll notice this, but I wouldn't blame you. If you're not.
I posit that the movie assumes that you're not watching the movie.
I think so.
For
It
like
works pretty
every
well in
5
the movie
minutes,
to not
they'll do a
watch.
flashback to what happened 5 minutes ago.
That is. It's the perfect. Josh hit the nail on the head. That's the perfect explanation. They assume that you're not paying attention, so they got to remind you of what was going on.
Yeah.
That's why Seagal always gives the villain speech, even though he's the good guy. This is what you did. This is how you did it, and this is how I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
Also, just because you mentioned the villain, I also should mention in the background there's, I think, a guy from Texas who's running all of this, who's running the evil syndicate.
Yes.
Oh,
The main villain that does not matter at all.
Vargas.
He's a few times wearing a cowboy hat in a factory.
and he's very obviously like dubbed.
Yes.
You
They
never
like
see
never
his
show his
mouth
like, face.
move.
Like yeah.
Which I'm not sure if that was supposed to be setting up a sequel, but no.
Oh my
Um,
god.
We can only hope, I guess.
Well, maybe a prequel beginning of a gun, and that's where you see like, this guy's
In
backstory.
front of the gun, and then
In front,
behind
in
a
front,
gun.
Yes.
So then apparently the $2 million is just stashed in the spare tire compartment of this car. The police have impounded, but not looked into at all.
Well, to be fair, Josh, they did make Steven Seagal sign a piece of paper that he didn't want to sign and then signed. So don't tell me they haven't looked into this at all.
And it's also not clear what that paper. It sounds like the paper is just this. Sorry, this is way back when he's like first talking to the cops. Sounds like it's like his narrative of what happened, but there's no indication about why he doesn't want to sign it, other than he's a ghost.
He
Who's very easily
intimates that
found.
he's like undercover,
He doesn't
in
play by the
France?
rules.
but
right.
that never comes up.
No,
He's
in fact,
undercover doing what?
Well,
Doing
he's
nothing.
ex-DEA. He's not current anything.
No.
Yeah, that's what they said. That he's retired. Like when the villain out of nowhere got his whole backstory, they just said, yeah, he was like kicked out, dishonorably discharged from the DEA. He's not undercover on anything, but that's what he
I mean,
says.
to be fair, he could have been dishonorably discharged from the DEA because they're like, "Hey, dude, you literally have to like do like legal paperwork stuff," and he's like, "No." He could just be dishonorably discharged because like, "Hey, this is literally just like an expense report for using like the company credit card to like travel," and he's like, "No, I'm not signing that."
For all those bullets you shot, and you need
Yeah,
to like.
that could be why. Yeah, there's for some reason his buddy who's a cop is like, "Hey, I just need you to sign this paper so we can go home," and he's like, "No."
And it's
So
weird,
that's-
like in the text of the film, his cop French cop buddy explains to him, like, I am legally required to ask everyone these questions. Like
this is literally just a recounting of what happened. This isn't a confession.
Yeah.
This isn't a warrant. This isn't an amicus curiae or anything.
It's in the text of the film. They show you how ridiculous Seagal's objections are.
And then to refute it, when he says he doesn't want to sign it, he just looks at him and says, "You took my favorite gun." But he gave him the gun. He handed it to him. Oh my God.
So don't tell me they did not investigate this enough, Josh. They made Seagal sign that piece of paper.
Also, on that, it sounds like there might have been 2 different ideas for this character, which seems wild for Seagal.
There were no ideas for this character. Go on.
Like, he is this ex-DEA agent, but also there's multiple times they refer to him as, like, doing his job in this scenario, like, throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense as an American DEA agent or anybody.
This would not be the first time that Seagal has played an American drug enforcement officer working in a foreign country. This would be the second movie in which he has played an American drug enforcement officer working in a foreign country.
I apologize. I think we're in the parking garage.
Yeah.
Seagal gets the money, puts it in a bag, starts walking down a ramp. The other cop, for some reason, has the 6th sense that his friend upstairs is hurt, so starts running up, sees Seagal, starts drawing his weapon as he's running at Seagal. Seagal kicks his hand in a way that makes him fall off of the side of this ramp. And that's the end of him. Then we cut to the first cop that he beat up, and he pulls an ankle gun for some reason. It's never disarmed.
Like a snub-nose 38. Or like it's...
Yeah, like stored in his boot. Could have had a normal gun, but whatever. Then cuts to who is definitely not Steven Seagal jogging in a parking lot at night. He then tells Lisa, "You now owe me good. Now you owe me some good pussy." Yeah.
Aaron, are you sure this movie didn't hate you? Because it sure as hell hated me.
It's the problem is the last like 2 or 3 have just like actively hated me. This one seems to be like saying detestable things and then like seeing if I'll notice. Like a child, like a little boy who will just like say stuff he knows he's not supposed to and like looks around the room to see if he'll get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's looking at all the adults in the room. Like, am I going to get in trouble for saying a naughty word or something? Like he'll say crap and then see if anybody says anything about it. See if he can get away with it. That's this movie for me.
See, for me, I was also with Aaron on this, but the problem is like maybe like, you know, a picture again, like that middle schooler, but like rather than the movie being the middle schooler doing that, let's say I'm the middle schooler and I'm just like, and you're just like, hey, did you like, you know, were you saying something you weren't supposed to? And I'm just like, no, not really. And that was where I was. That was my understanding of the movie was like, I don't know, nothing really happened. And then there's like a gunfight and it was over. But then what Josh is doing is he's pulling out like the text conversation and going through line by line everything I said. And I'm like shrinking in my seat like, oh no. So when the movie was just nothing of interest happens for 50 minutes. Like when my plot summary was, there's a money in the car, he takes the money, the people want the money back, and they have a gunfight, and he gets the money at the end. I was like, oh, that wasn't a bad movie. Thanks, Keone Waxman. I mean, that wasn't good. It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
And now that you're actually going through, like, you know, literally, like, script revision, like, okay, page 42, here's what happens. Now I'm like, oh no, this is bad. Oh, being forced to answer for its crimes. He's like the teacher that's going through and grading every single line of my essay, and I'm like, ooh, this is bad.
It was bad.
But your barometer isn't thrown off. Your barometer is still normal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to saying that about my movie taste.
See, you're okay. No, okay. So in the education world, like you're in your first or second year of teaching, and you're like, I'm gonna teach these kids, and they're gonna learn stuff. And we're in like our 8th or 9th year of teaching. We're like, as long as they don't eat each other,
Yeah, if one of his kids
like-
doesn't stab the other, that's a good day.
We're fine. Can they read? Kinda. Sure. Pass 'em.
Kinda.
Optional.
Are you describing the plot
Optional.
of Freedom Journals, the one where the white woman goes into the inner city school?
Yeah, you are.
I
That's
think
you
Zach
right
just
now.
quoted him. I quoted that movie.
We're every single teacher who's given up, and you're like, I'm here to change things.
Yeah. Let's see if you can be the Sister Mary Clarence to this Sister Act.
Yeah.
We are grading on a
fantastic film.
heavy curve, Josh.
You know, I'm just gonna say, instead of watching this, go watch the Sister Act. I'm gonna skip ahead to that.
Either Sister Act. They're both
are
great.
wonderful.
Damn, that's a good one. Ah, dang it. I like. Ah, dang.
I can't believe I've never recommended either of the Sister Acts.
Yeah, come on, Aaron.
What the heck?
I thought my favorite recommendation was, I can't remember which one, Aaron, but you recommended something where like it's about like people, like small characters in the Bible. I mean, it'll bring you to Jesus, and that's good.
That was The Chosen. Season 4 premieres on February 1st.
Hey, hold on. This isn't the Chosen promo podcast. Also, this episode's probably going to come out after that, but
Yeah.
Anyway, so they've stolen the money. Not Steven Seagal has run to the car, made an inappropriate comment. Then they leave and they go to a seedy motel and they settle in. Now Lisa has a bag of
A really nice seedy hotel, by the way.
like a really
well, it's
yeah, like it
France.
was
Yeah.
like the hallway not that great. The room beautiful.
Like it's massive.
Much better than Steven Seagal's apartment. Like
Yeah.
much better.
Lots of room to have a gunfight later.
Oh, foreshadowing.
But then we cut back to the impound lot. What's the bad? Is his name Gear? Something with a G, right?
Gage?
Gage, thank you.
Gage, yeah.
Like the
Gage
main
is-
villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Who has not mattered up to this point, by the way.
Yeah. So Gage, the head bad guy, who's not the real head bad guy, but the bad guy for this film that matters. And they're talking about how the money was stolen from the car. There's no reason for the cops to know to call him, but they do. And then he makes a comment that, the cop makes a comment that it couldn't have been Steven Seagal. He's not an agent anymore, as if a DEA agent normally breaks into, impound lots in Paris.
In the
then-
Seagal universe, yeah, that's
Yeah. That's pretty par for the course.
So then they go and they meet some other guys in an industrial yard of some sorts, and the guy's like, I heard you need help taking down an American. This is my cousin. And introduces a guy in a cowboy hat.
Pee-wee.
Yes.
Pee-wee, thank you. You think like, wow, Pee-wee must be here, like must be some type of like assassin, bad guy. Never explained. So then they go to raid the apartment. The phone company came through, told them where Lisa is. To go to raid the apartment. So they go to raid the hotel room. They threaten the guy at the front desk, go up to the hotel room, and then kind of kick in the door. And sorry, what's his name again? Not Gear.
Gage.
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 To be fair, Gear would be a better name.
Yeah.
I think so. But his number one guy, who's super jumpy, gets scared by the guy the new guy coming through the door.
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee, and almost shoots Pee-wee. Sorry, I was interpreting this hand signal. But no, almost shoots Pee-wee coming through the door because Pee-wee made a noise behind him, I guess. Anyway, then we cut to Steven Seagal, who is on the phone calling his cop friend, trying to get tickets to Key West. He's avoiding the cops, but also calling the cops as like a travel agent, which was weird. But
That's just everything.
That's
then
how
I
it
know
goes.
that they're back at the hotel. They bring in this new guy, Pee-wee. Don't let him do anything. Don't let him talk to anyone. Don't let him say anything. And don't trust him to have a gun.
They just tell him to take off his hat.
Yeah. It's the only value Pee-wee adds. But then I think they end up kidnapping Lisa and yeah. Sorry, the conversation between
Looking through the notes.
Flipping through all the notes.
the conversation between Gage and Lisa confirms that everything said to a woman in this movie must be sexual. And
everything she says also at least 50% of the time has to be sexual.
True. But anyway, then Steven Seagal shows up, kicks in the door, immediately shoots the guy, Pee-wee, right off the bat.
Did not matter
he's
at
gone.
all.
Nope.
It's just gone.
You don't even see him throw a punch.
Nope, Pee-wee does just jack in the whole film. But then they start a shootout in the room. Again, Gage's number 2 guy, Luke, or Luck, is shooting at him for some reason, points his gun down, runs around the corner, and just gets shot. Gets in a fist fight, and Seagal kills him. Really anticlimactic death. Then Steven Seagal
That's every death in this movie.
Somehow in all of this, Gage has left with Lisa. So Steven Seagal walks out with his semi-automatic gun, clears a spent round from it, which shouldn't have been needed, from my understanding of how guns work. And starts in the middle of this Paris, crowded street, limp-wristedly shooting at the car with Lisa and Gage inside it.
I wouldn't even say limp, like disinterestedly shooting.
Yeah,
just kind of like, I guess.
Like he's like
window, but
bored
also
through this whole
hand is
thing.
everywhere. Sorry,
No.
what was that, Aaron?
He's just bored through this whole thing. Like
It's
I
the
don't-
usual amount of
So was
effort
I.
that he puts in.
Well, like, I don't want to skip to the talking about this moment in Seagal's career bit yet, because we're not done with the we're almost done with the synopsis, but we're not quite. But just like he just seems bored,
Don't
and I
apologize.
know I've said 100 times that he seems bored in these movies, but he's bored. I'm bored. Nobody in this movie cares. There were like 15 different production companies involved in this thing. And my first thought was how many people needed to launder money through this one project.
That's all it is. But yeah, he just kind of shoots at the fleeing car, like as if just this kind of like a fly in the room that he's not particularly trying to swat, but like if it lands near enough to him and he can swat it, he will.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
Unlike this shooting, but yes.
Although, fun fact, he does manage to shoot out a bunch of the windows in such a way that whenever you see the car in the next scene arrive at its location, none of those windows are shot out.
They just rolled up the new windows.
Yeah.
The car comes with extras.
He shoots up this perfectly undamaged car.
Another continuity issue with cars for the movie. Steven Seagal's car changes. Like the brand, it's always like a black crossover, but the brand changes throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Just
See, remember when he used to like consistently drive a silver Mercedes SUV?
Sure.
And like there was many films in a row that if he was driving a car, it was a silver Mercedes, like a Jeep ripoff. There were many films. This was like in the early 2000s. It was very strange to me because the characters he would play between these movies had nothing to do with each other, but it was always the same exact car. He loved that car. Anyway,
do you think that was just his car?
It's probably
I think it
just
might
his
have just
car.
been his car.
It's all they could afford.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Gage and Lisa go back to the guys that gave him Pee-wee for that brief time. They don't seem to get along or have a working relationship, really. So unclear relationship between them. There's kind of a fight. He ends up throwing down like 30 grand and saying like, here's 30,000, bury your cousin and get over it. And we can note that the wads are way too big because those bills are like $500 euros and the wads are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is one of my pet peeves. They keep saying dollars and showing euros. Which
that's
usually in
consistent,
a
though.
Seagal movie, they'll say dollars and show dollars, no
Show-
matter where
no
they
matter
are
what
in the
country it is.
world.
Yeah.
Although I like to imagine that in fiction, the guy said, "Here's $30,000, dollars. Just bury him and keep the rest," and he hands him like $2 million, like way more than 30,000. Like he hands him like 200,000, and the guy's just like, "Yeah, okay." Just like doesn't
Sure.
correct him. Like, yeah,
Sure.
30,000.
And then he calls the big bad guy, who I have here is named Vargas, the cowboy hat guy, just to be told, "Don't call me. This was a pointless call." Addressed in the film, "This is a pointless call. You shouldn't have done this."
Yeah.
Which is just such a Steven Seagal movie thing to have happen.
Yeah.
Like this character that does not affect the plot, does not matter at all, that he's there for one scene, and like the character literally in that scene says, "I don't need to be here for this scene."
Like the movie will tell you the problems with the movie throughout the movie.
Oh yeah.
They'll say
If guy
this
didn't exist at
doesn't.
all,
Why are
the
we
only
doing
difference
this?
is that this movie would be 30 seconds shorter. That's the only difference.
Yes.
The main guy, the main villain, could just want his money back, and that would be fine. We don't need this other guy.
No.
Anyway, so then Seagal calls Lisa. Lisa is with Gage. Gage always needs to ask Lisa if this is Seagal. I don't know why this is a consistent question, but every time. Then he gives Seagal an address to go to, which translates to Under the Woods, 274 Ave. Under the Woods was said in French. Avenue was not. I'm not sure if it's a French word, actually, as I say it out loud.
Avenue.
knows?
That's a word. That's just a word in French.
Oh, well, edit that part out. Also, I don't think that's how addresses work in Paris, from looking at Google Maps. But here we go.
Yeah, you would need to mention the arrondissement, like the district of the city that it's in.
Oh.
Yeah. There's like a big part of the address that's missing from that, though.
Yeah. You didn't know that, Josh?
Come on.
I'm gonna do
See,
stuff.
next week we need to have another guest on who's actually like completely French fluent to be like, actually, Aaron, when you said this,
Actually, it's
none
in
of
the
us can call
12e
Aaron out on this.
arrondissement.
Aaron could be saying whatever, and we couldn't call him out on it. We need somebody who can.
I just want to say, I know I came off hot at the beginning of this episode. It was accurate. I am an
That's what we've been missing from this podcast, you know?
Yeah, you all get along too much. Like,
Yeah.
somebody needs to be here like, hey, it's been an hour and 15 minutes talking about a Dell versus a Mac. We should probably move it along.
We need a real bad boy of the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you know how in Mythbusters, Jamie and Adam really didn't actually like each other that much?
Yeah.
As far as we like each other, we need like someone to be here and be confrontational and
Like they talk about each other respectfully, professionally, but like they're not like friends.
we need like a Jobs to our Wozniak.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Take us home.
So then...
We're almost there, I promise.
Yeah. Then they set up the exchange. Lisa for the rest of the money. Seagal goes and gets his cop friend. They decide to come. He has 2 bags. One has explosives. One just has cash. And the only other woman in this film who has any speaking lines at all is the cop's wife. So as far as the Bechdel test, don't even talk. They're not aware of each
I'm
other's
so shocked.
existence.
That's not true. There's the lady with the dog. The lawyer steps in the poop of the dog with the lady. She says, that's my dog. Please don't kick my dog. She says that in English, inexplicably. And the lawyer's assistant says, no, he's not available today. Oh, never mind. I realize you're the mob boss. Okay, yeah, you can go see him.
No, you're right.
Those are the only 2 women who have speaking lines.
But it
was
still doesn't
also a
pass the
woman-
Bechdel test.
There was also a woman who, at a cafe, said, "I'll have a juice," in a very French accent in English.
Yes.
And that's the whole... But yeah, none of the women are aware of each other's existence.
No.
Anyway, so then Seagal shows up, drops his cop friend off to climb up onto a roof. Then he climbs into a sniper position that offers his gun little to no support.
Yeah, he has a bipod, and he
pulls
just
the
like
bipod out and then puts it on a railing, but not the bipod on the railing, the gun barrel on a railing.
like he has the bipod out on the like beyond the railing, so that like the handrest is on the railing. And he's awkwardly, like, spinning the gun around on the rail.
Okay, if we're talking about, like, dumb bullshit this guy does that doesn't matter but really pisses me off, mine is that he has this guitar case on his back when they're going to this warehouse to have the gunfight.
Yes.
And, like, the image of, like, the gun hidden in a musical instrument case is not a new one. You know, you have the classic, like, Tommy gun in the violin case or whatever. But he's using, like, not a hard shell case. It's, like, a soft case. So when he grabs it, it's just, like, you can tell there isn't a guitar in there. Like, why is he using a soft case? Why not a hard case to fit it?
Maybe he just doesn't have a case for his sniper rifle. Like, he bought a $3,000 sniper rifle.
And then he bought like a $20 case from Guitar Center. Or the French version, Le Guitar Center.
Zach, how often do we see people that spend $8,000 on their computer and put it on an $80 IKEA desk?
This is worse than that, though.
Le centre du guitar.
That's one of Zach's, yet another one of Zach and my pet peeves.
But, like, I'm like, why is it in a soft body case? Put it in a hard case. You can even carry it in a guitar case. I'm fine with that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, gunfight.
Anyway,
one of many questions about this man's tactics I have. I then have that there's a bunch of people with guns around Seagal when he shows up. They could have shot him at any time. He had the money
just
in
taking
the
the
trunk. They asked him to put his gun down, and he basically says, "We all have guns. It's okay." Which is a bold move, surrounded by other people with guns.
I have something to say at the end of this gunfight, but continue. I'm so mad about this whole thing.
Yeah. I love that he shows up. The guy is like, drop your gun and get out of the car, and they just don't have a backup plan for if Seagal says no. They're like, get rid of the gun, and he doesn't, and they're like, we didn't. Okay.
I continue through, I guess.
This one.
Carry on, my good sir.
You solved my riddle.
So then Seagal gets out, goes to get the money from the trunk, decides to grab the bag with the money without explosives, puts it down. They have Lisa open it. It's money. Everyone's happy. She gives the money to him, to Gage. Then he says, "Ooh, I have the rest of the money over here." And then puts down the bag with the explosives. And then I can't remember what exactly happens, but then people start shooting. The guy that's sniping takes out a few people, and then comes down after shooting people with his rifle to engage in the fight with a handgun and immediately gets shot.
Even though he's only fired like 4 shots with a sniper rifle, which definitely has like a 15-round magazine. But, like, whatever.
Then one of the bad guys throws a knife at Gage and hits him in the chest, which slows him down little to none. But there's no real explanation for why he would throw a knife at at another bad guy. They seem to be kind of on the same team.
But he's still anti-Seagal. This isn't like a heel turn. He still fights Seagal.
It's just every man for himself at this point, I think.
So then Gage tries to sneak away while Seagal is hand fighting or having a knife fight with some guy. Ends up cornering him when he can't get through a door.
Oh, and Seagal pulls a gigantic knife out of nowhere.
That is true. Massive knife.
Like a mall ninja knife. It's not like a knife that you would actually fight someone with. It's like a foot wide and a foot and a half long. And it has like this gigantic hilt on it that's curved. Like you could buy this at a place where you can buy like airbrush t-shirts.
Well, because he was in a fight with this guy where it was his fist, his hands versus the other guy's knife, and like these movies listen to us, these movies adapt, they change. They know that Steven Seagal is watching. Like they knew that we were going to comment on the fact that like it was a bad hand to knife fight, but not a bad knife to knife fight. So then he pulls out the knife, so then we can talk about yet another super bad knife fight, like we've seen in so many of these movies where they just kind of. Cling, cling, swish, 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 cling, cling. Like, I watched that and I thought, oh, interesting. This is bad, but it's actually a little better when he doesn't have a knife, and then that's when he pulled out the knife. It heard me. It listened. It knows.
And they also just kind of like wave the knife around without touching each other for a while before
Yes,
making any contact.
that's all they ever do.
If every time we've ever mentioned a knife fight in any of these movies, it looks
That's what
exactly like that.
Yeah,
All the way
Keone-
back
It's
to
the,
Under Siege.
it's the same choreography from Under Siege.
Keone is trolling with you.
He is.
But
He's just messing with you.
eventually, Steven kills him, goes and finds Gage, corners him, again trying to open a door, says, like, you look familiar, which he's been saying kind of throughout the movie, then asks him if he's Danny's previous confidential informant. No idea who Danny is. So my note just says, who the is Danny? I can swear, right? I feel like I'm a little far into this to ask that.
You're allowed to do that.
But yeah, no, who the fuck is Danny? And then he
Oh yeah,
ends
they
up...
just randomly at the very end of the movie discover that they know each other.
Yep.
This adds nothing to the film.
The guy dies 4 seconds later.
Yeah. So yeah, Steven kills him. Then Steven goes, collects the bag with the money, then goes to check on his friend who was shot twice. Loads him into the car. Attempts then to talk to Lisa, who's now pointing a gun at him, trying to take the money. He gives an unearned moral speech to her about people who love her, doing the right thing.
Oh, the theme of the film just flips in the last 30 seconds.
Wait, Eric, we're gonna get to that. Hold on.
Yes.
Wait, because I know you have something to talk about.
Oh gosh.
Then he makes some type of comment about a stripper and money. I'm not sure if that was a callback to something. Ends up cop friend ends up shooting Lisa through a window. Then Steven brings him to the hospital, tells him that he put some of the money in a garbage can outside his house, gives another unearned speech about the moral of the movie, about loving people. And again, then we have the lady who was on the phone at the beginning calling him back, saying she's back in town. And I said that her accent at this point reminded me of the accent from Young Frankenstein. The lab assistant. And then the movie ends.
Yes.
Yep.
Mercifully.
Yeah.
Mercifully.
Yeah.
And they do like a fun little a little shot from like each character with like the name of the actor next to it. They do like the video credits, and they do something weird where Steven Seagal has like one big S for like Steven and Seagal that like I don't think I've seen in any of his past movies.
Yeah.
But
It was also a font that did not fit the vibe of the movie.
yeah.
Okay, so real quick, I want to talk about that specifically before we dive into everything else.
Fonts, yes.
No, not the fonts, but
typefaces.
the overall tone of this movie.
Yeah,
because
ooh,
this
let's talk about
movie,
tone and theme.
let's just real quick. I this is my only note. This is the only thing I have that's of any value to this conversation here, because this movie, what Josh, what you just described, this movie is like, it's an ex DEA agent steals a bunch of money from a guy that was in business with some drug guys, and he was trying to get away with this money so he could go live happily in Key West, right? But the tone of the movie isn't that. The tone of the movie is Ocean's 11. Mm-hmm. It's like this really constant, upbeat, like suave guy music. If that makes sense. I don't know how else to describe it.
Like it's trying to make you think that Seagal's like a smooth operator.
Yeah. So the whole time,
like he's George Clooney.
Exactly that. The whole time, like, Seagal's like infiltrating this parking garage that's extremely small and trying to steal this cash. They're trying to make it look like he's George Clooney, even though when he walks in, he just kills 2 guards who are minding their own business, guarding
now,
the cars
in his defense,
in the
he
impound.
Doesn't kill them. One of them he knocks out with his fist, and the other one he throws off the 4th story of a parking garage, who miraculously hits like some awnings on the way down, and you do see him stand up later.
I'm just saying, like, that's so not the tone. The music they play, the editing, they do these like weird cuts where they smash. It's like hard borders between different
different
scenes.
Like
it is Ocean's 11. So
it's the multiple things happening at the same time on the screen.
Exactly, with these like thick black borders in between each frame that are all slanted. It is like this movie was just trying to be Ocean's 11 with the movie with the music and the tone, the font at the end and the credits, the whole way Seagal's character is like scripted. But it's still Seagal doing violent things to people for no reason.
Well, and also
so that he can get millions of dollars. Like that's not. It just
Ocean's
doesn't
11.
fit.
They're trying to steal money from a casino, and it goes through all like this complicated stuff about how they actually do that. He is stealing $200 million, that is euros, which is not dollars, from the trunk of a car in a parking garage.
Yeah.
There are 2 guards and 2 chain link fences between him and 200 million euros.
Was it
not
200
like
million or 2 million?
2 million.
it's
I'm
2
sorry,
million.
2 million. 2 million.
Yeah.
But the actual heist is like 5 minutes. The first 50 minutes of this movie are them talking about how you should steal this money. Stealing the money takes like 5 minutes, and then it's just talking about how he stole the money.
Yeah.
It's so wildly different. Like the tone of the movie does not match the content of the movie, and it was so frustrating.
It's edited as if it's like a major heist, but he walks into the building, cuts 2 padlocks off of chain link fences, beats up 2 guys, and steals the money and walks away.
But it's like your buddies. It's like your buddy that says like, "Hey, I got like this big move plan, big job. Are you in?" And he like goes and he like holds up like a GameStop cashier.
But I'm not even talking about just like the depth of the heist in this movie versus what they're trying to play off of. I'm just talking about the tone of the like. In a movie like Ocean's 11, they go through this whole, like, they're doing a bad thing. They're robbing a casino. But they're robbing a casino from a guy who has billions of dollars. Like, this is not even going to make a dent. It's awful for his business, but it's just like a minor inconvenience. And it's this historic heist. In this, and they don't hurt anybody. They don't hurt any civilians. Like, they do it all undercover. That's, like, the whole point. And in this movie, it's just another Seagal movie where he just, like, anybody who gets in his way, he either maims them or kills them and breaks their arms. Like, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
Can I?
Okay.
So Zach's been trying to say something for a while. Yeah.
Well, what I'm gonna say is letting you say something because while watching this movie, when I got to the end, I was so excited for Aaron specifically.
Oh. Why is
because
that?
Aaron has spent his time, talking about the like discordant themes that we've seen in these movies where like the text of the movie specifically undermines like the stated themes and the display and the shown themes are at odds with one another. Yeah. But then that hasn't happened for a while. We've had like the first 20 minutes have nothing to do with the rest of the movie, but we haven't had the themes conflicting quite as much. And here, normally it happens at the beginning. Normally it's like within the first 20 minutes, a guy is like, hey, prison bad, and then you watch the movie and the movie's like prison good. So it's not exactly the same, but especially when we get to that like monologue at the end, I was like, wait, the stated themes do not align at all with the actual what is shown in the movie.
Come out
and
of
I was
nowhere.
so happy for Aaron. I'm like, Aaron gets to talk about theme dissonance again.
The stated themes come out of nowhere. At the end of the movie, he's talking to Gage, like one of the last things he says to Gage, I don't care about the money, I'm here about the honor. What are you talking about?
Came out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
You
This woman
literally
said,
it's Seagal. This is not an exaggeration. This is not just applying words that don't apply to make the situation sound worse than it is. He literally, in the text of the film, prostituted himself for information about a heist so that he could steal money and then went to an exchange for a hostage he did not care about and knew was double-crossing him so that he could kill everyone involved. He did not need the final scene of the movie, the climactic battle of the movie. He had the money in his possession and was about to get away scot-free and just decided, I'll go to this hostage exchange for this woman I don't care about and I know is double-crossing me, so that everyone involved in this can die. All I'm here to do is kill everyone involved. I already have the money. I have nothing to gain from this.
Your typical George Clooney
and he
character.
tells the bad guy, I'm here about the honor. What
but even before
are
the
you
events of
talking
the premise is this woman approaches an ex-DEA agent and says, hey, do you just want to steal $2 million from this car that's part of an active investigation after you shot a guy? And he goes, sure. And then at the end he goes, but it's about who you love. If it's not about the money. If you do it for the money, you're going to find yourself at the end of a gun. And I'm like, well, you did find yourself at the ends of several guns.
And you did everything you did for the money.
There was no love in this movie.
Aaron, I like to push back that he went there to show her that people can love her, and
then shot her in the head.
Well, things happen.
Well, to be fair, his buddy shot her.
His buddy shot her in the head, yes. But he knew that she was double-crossing him.
No, this is a movie where every character does something for the money, and then Steven Seagal just like grandstand, like moralizes at the end about it's who you love.
This is like
because he does it to her, and then he does it in a voiceover.
This is like
that came out of nowhere.
This is the reverse of the "We're Not So Different," you and I, from the what's the prison movie with Stone Cold, Maximum Conviction, and like he like has this whole conversation with the main bad guy at the end of Maximum Conviction, and he kills the main bad guy, and at the end he has a conversation with Stone Cold Steve Austin about how he's still got the money and how he's gonna spend it all. What are we talking about?
So this one,
I'm not here about the money. I'm here about the honor. You are explicitly here about the money. That is the only thing you've ever talked about this entire movie. What are you talking about?
Just when you almost think this movie did not have a theme that completely runs counter to it, like Keanu Waxman brings it back. We're back in, old Seagal, classic Seagal.
But that can't be Keanu Waxman though. This exactly what you just said. That's classic Seagal. That is Seagal realizing at the end of the movie that, oh man, my character is kind of an asshole. I should turn this around. It's about the honor. He's got to give the speech. He's got to give the 11-minute speech that's cut down to 4 minutes because it was way too long about environmentalism. He has to have the last line.
Steven, just play a villain. He plays
a surprisingly good villain. Just play the villain.
Just let yourself be hateable. It's very easy.
He just wants to be a dick, and then at the end he's like, much like the samurai would follow a code. And you're like, what are you talking about?
It worked in Machete. It almost worked in that other one where he decided to play a villain, except because he just spent the whole time doing Tai Chi with half-naked women.
Asian Connection. It was closer.
Asian Connection.
It was a lot
movie
closer.
Overall sucked, but the Seagal parts almost worked. They didn't quite connect.
The ending,
they were completely superfluous.
Yes,
but they almost worked.
They almost worked. They didn't make sense within the context of the movie, but as a character, it almost worked. Steven, just let yourself be the villain. It's okay.
My God.
Or just let yourself just be kind of a jerk and be like, yeah, I'm a jerk.
We've said this since I think it was
the first movie. Yeah.
I don't think it was the first movie because it was which one? Which one had what was his name? The guy who just went on a rampage for no reason.
Jerry?
Oh, Out for Justice.
Oh,
was that it?
Richie.
Richie, yes.
I think that was Out for Justice.
I think you're right. It was Out for Justice. Yeah.
He shotgunned that guy's leg off and kicked that one guy so hard he died.
Exactly. I think that was what movie 4.
Lost Hans. There he is.
It is out. It is Out for Justice.
Yeah. I think that was movie 4, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Very early.
So I think that was when we first started saying, I think it was you, Aaron, that originally said he should just play the villain because if Richie, the guy who
said he should play RoboCop, but without any of the satire.
Okay, so it was a combination of you guys because that was basically it. We saw Richie playing a very whoever the I don't remember the actor, but whoever played Richie played a very convincing, genuine, lunatic. Yeah. And we, you guys posited that could be Seagal. Seagal could so convincingly play that part because he kind of is that guy in real life.
that was William Forsythe, by the way, that played Richie.
You're right. You're right.
Seagal wants to be the good guy, but he doesn't know what a good guy is.
No,
he wants to be a good guy, but he just wants to do whatever the bad guy does.
We already got his definition of a good man, and it was not a very good man.
He doesn't. I am afraid that he doesn't know what it means to be a good person, a good man.
Wow,
I was there more than 30 movies ago.
Same, and this is kind of a pivotal moment because it wasn't very long ago that Aaron said, "I can fix him."
But I mean, anyone's fixable, right? All humans are redeemable. It's possible. But, like, he has shown through his entire oeuvre, like, what he thinks a good guy is, because he refuses to play the villain unless someone else is forcing him to. And
God gives his strongest soldiers his Seagaliest battles.
like,
maybe you can fix it,
but like, he has just demonstrated 42 times that he doesn't know like what a good guy does. But like, I think he'd be baffled by Captain America.
Like, I think he would theaters and thought, what is this?
Yeah, I think he would think Captain America is like a moron or something. Like, I think he would think that Superman's a pushover, or like I like classically good guys in the Steven Seagal mythos are not good guys.
This is really off track, but could you imagine Steven Seagal playing a superhero?
I want
Blob. Roasted. No, we don't. We'll cut that out.
Like, maybe he could try the Punisher.
Well, and Out for Justice is kind of like the closest he comes to the Punisher, I guess.
Yeah.
No, the Punisher I think is the closest he would like. But he would be the Punisher, but not actually be like really that upset that his entire family was murdered. He'd just like look at his whole family being murdered as like a minor inconvenience, but he would then just like shoot a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. Because at least the Punisher gets like emotional about killing all those dudes.
Right.
I think if he did that though, he'd see himself as like a John Wick character.
And he already sees
Like-
himself as John Wick.
No, fair.
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't know if that's uploaded at this time, but in the Absolution episode, I think Absolution was Steven Seagal's attempt at John Wick.
That was the first movie of 2016 for him, right?
Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah,
That sounds about right.
And that was like up until now the most recent Keanu Waxman film.
Favorite? Does anybody have a favorite quote?
Oh wait, are we done with notes? Do we have any more?
I don't know. I mean,
I want to hear it. So we got Josh's full synopsis, but I want to hear your thoughts on the movie. You said this was your first Steven Seagal experience, right?
Oh yeah,
It was.
you've never seen a Steven Seagal movie. Okay.
Tell us everything.
That's actually a running theme. For all of our guests, we have not had.
I
That's-
think
Anyone come on
if
with
they
previous
had,
experience.
they probably wouldn't agree to watch another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a point there.
And I again apologize for the length of my synopsis. I just
Don't
want to do
apologize.
good
Fine.
No. That's good. This is I needed the recap.
No, like I enjoy some bad movies. I'm gonna be honest. You give me Arachnoquake, Mega Shark vs Giant Octopus. Yeah. You give
And
me-
actually, to fill the audience in a little bit, Josh, who would you say is maybe one of your favorite film directors that we've discussed in the past? Directors, actors, writers.
Yeah. So Zach wants me to talk about the Medeaverse. Tyler Perry's Medeaverse.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The Renaissance man of Tyler Perry himself.
No,
It's amazing.
I've just said I don't think that there's enough credit for the Medeaverse that he's created, with all of these, integrated stories and characters he's developed over the years. There are some valid criticisms of Tyler Perry in his work as a person. I'm not defending him on those grounds, but that was when everyone was getting really excited for the MCU multiverse, and how they made like 4 movies that are connected. And I just mentioned Tyler Perry has also made like 24 plays and 50 movies that are also connected with all these characters and storylines.
No, I would ask Josh, did you watch any movies this weekend? And he'd be like, I watched a Tyler Perry marathon on TBS or something.
Okay, but you
Josh,
watch
why?
you watch Very Medea Christmas, okay, and you tell me that doesn't touch your heart. Okay?
It doesn't. I'll tell you that to your face.
I'll
tell that to Tyler Perry's face. I don't care.
Have you seen Lawrence the Cable Man's performance in that film?
I don't know.
It's touching. You wouldn't think the get her done guy can touch your heart in that kind of way.
Oh, you mean Larry the... Oh,
Lawrence the Cable Man, yes.
Lawrence the Cable Man. Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot he was on that.
And he's not a small role.
How many Tyler Perry movies are there?
That's a great question.
Because I'd be tempted to say like, oh, maybe this could be the next season, but I worry that he has like far too many movies.
No.
Actually, I had an idea for your next one. You can do Shaq.
Shaq.
He's got a superheroes film, Steel, 1997, and then Shaq Fu, 2018.
Is that it?
I think he's got some other appearances in there, but I think those are the two where he stars. Be a brief season.
Wow.
Oh my god, I completely forgot that Tyler Perry was in Gone Girl. He was actually, I'm not gonna lie, Tyler Perry was really good in Gone Girl. If you want to watch a movie that Tyler Perry was really good in.
Oh, he was the lawyer, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's like the celebrity lawyer.
I forgot about that.
Oh, wow.
It's like Gone Girl, and then it's like Medea.
He has 62 acting credits, 59 director credits,
Actually,
65 producer credits.
Oh my gosh.
That's possible. That's not out of the question. I'm not saying that's what we do next, but that's not out of the question. The problem is, I think actually that's the sister podcast. I think Josh needs to do like the Tyler Perry, like everything. That
He can join the Oeuvre network.
Yeah, we're actually expanding out. We're not just podcasts. We're an infotainment network.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So our we've talked about our Overton window, our baseline is like the past 41 Steven Seagal movies that we've watched, and that's what we're bringing in to this one. That's why I think so much of this we're just letting the grease slide over us. So Josh also similarly has a very broken barometer, but in a very different way.
Yeah, I am easily entertained by movies. I'll say that.
And you just did that like without like a performance art piece that you're working on.
Zach,
that was just willingly.
I think Zach is exaggerating a little bit. I have seen some Tyler Perry movies and found some of them very entertaining.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
But as far as like palate cleansers, reference the most recent movie I watched was Mitchell's vs. the Machines on Netflix. It's a wonderful movie.
That's a funny movie.
It's a great movie.
Okay.
I guarantee if you like text Sarah about that movie right now, she will her response will in some way involve the Roombas. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, the scene where the Roombas fall down the stairs is like the funniest thing to her. Like, we had to like pause the movie and rewind to like watch that happen like 4 times.
After they watched that movie, I went over to their house to hang out one day. Oh, it was on a weekend. I hadn't seen this movie. I hadn't heard anything about it. And I get there and Sarah is like just out of nowhere, just laughing. And I asked what she was laughing at, and she had to show me the clip on the TV of the Roombas falling down the escalator, and we watched it twice. And Sarah was like the most red-faced I've ever seen her.
So that's a pretty good movie.
That is a hilarious moment. They build up like all these machines are coming at them, and the son goes, "The Roombas!" and they just come and they fall right down the escalator. Great. But
is that
anyway,
what you would recommend in watching instead of End of a Gun?
I'd really recommend things like Gone with the Wind, Citizen Kane,
Casablanca,
something
perhaps. Maybe a Maltese Falcon.
Sorry, thank you for moving me along, Aaron.
Yeah,
I'd recommend that. Again, any of the John Wick movies if you're looking for this type of thing, but good. Taken also had some Taken vibes.
Along with like every Steven Seagal movie.
It's been a minute since we've mentioned Taken because it started to become old news, but I think there were like 5 movies in a row that we mentioned Taken.
Yeah, I remember. But this one, kind of like he's trying to get the girl, kind of threaten the guy.
Also set in France.
Also set in France. Yeah.
Also like a French cop that's his buddy. Actually, this is like
Yeah.
like taken.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just have a few notes left.
We didn't even Josh, your thoughts on this movie? We didn't even get there.
Yeah.
It was a bad movie. I don't know what else. Wow.
I bated breath, edge of my seat. Thank you.
This was the most sexual harassment per minute I think I've ever seen in a film.
Oh, you ain't seen
Oh,
nothing.
you've not watched all the Steven Seagal movies. This was on the tamer end.
Yeah.
This was not bad.
Yeah, this was not even that bad.
I don't know if y'all had your favorite quotes yet. I don't know if I missed that.
No, not yet.
Go for it.
So it was, it may seem like that to you, but it could be an illusion.
Yes.
I yes. Have a note. An arrow leads to sexual harassment. I don't know what he said after that, but somehow that led him to making some type of sexual harassment comment to Lisa.
Everything he says will. If Lisa's on screen, he's saying something that he should.
Mike could be.
Everything said to Lisa is a sexual. It could be, bring them to HR. But yeah, no. So like most sexual harassment per minute of a film I've ever seen.
Oh man,
just a bad movie. Would not. Again, I will recommend some bad movies to you all. Rare Exports, terrible film. Highly recommend. It also has naked people, but it's old men that are supposed to be elves. It's great. Literally,
this is also on the tamer end of just gratuitous nudity.
Yeah.
What we've seen recently.
But no, terrible film. A lot of continuity errors, just very distracting to me. The changes of clothes, changes of cars, the everything.
This isn't even the worst one, but my favorite little continuity error that I like is just whenever Lisa is talking to like the villain and like it shows his face and he does not have a cigarette at all, and then like in the next cut he has a cigarette that is lit because like a cigarette fully in his mouth, because if you like it's pretty quiet. They don't like try to emphasize it too much, but like it shows his face without a cigarette, and when they cut away to her, he's not moving at all. Like he's slightly in the frame, the back of his head is like in the frame, he's not moving at all, but they play the sound effect of like a lighter and like a cigarette being lit. Like clearly they put this edit together and they're like, oh shoot, he doesn't have a cigarette in this scene, and then he does have it in the next one, so they just put the sound of him lighting a cigarette.
Classic.
Like that one stuck out to me, even though it is by far not the worst. We literally have like cars getting shot that don't have bullet holes in the next second, people bloodied before they're hit, like just guns like not at all lining up with where they should be, but like the dude just randomly having the cigarette made me laugh.
So there was one guy that paid attention to this film. There's one guy that after this watched and goes, oh, we should fix that.
Like, oh yeah, fix it in post.
Just one sound guy thought that's the one thing I can save about this movie. Some of the Foley work.
He didn't have to do quite as much like ADR for Seagal, so he's like, I got time to fix some of these
Speaking
mistakes.
of the Foley work, the gunshots sound terrible. Like they're old MIDI files or something. Like it's.
Yep, probably. Just whatever was included in like the Windows Movie Maker, they edited this in.
Yeah. Like whatever free version of After Effects they found.
What'd you say?
Was this not live fire on set? Was that?
Like you can hear the compression in the sound effects of the gunshots. It's terrible.
It's bad.
I just have a few notes left. We got our gyrating women quota in the first 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's surprisingly restrained after that.
But surprisingly restrained after that.
Because they don't have they have a conversation that they could just be having in a random strip club for no reason, like we've seen in the last like 10 movies. They don't do that as much.
No, they don't do that. And I don't think there's any like full frontal female nudity in this.
The bar is so fucking low. If those are the notes.
I have the most unbelievable thing in this movie so far is that this outdoor French restaurant doesn't let you smoke.
Well, it's France. You can like smoke wherever.
The ADR for Vargas is hilariously out of place. Flashbacks to stuff
Vargas.
we just saw. Classic.
Yep. Lots of flashbacks and stuff.
Classic.
I did like one thing I did like about the writing. Hey, Keone, or unless there was this other guy named Chuck, who did some of the writing for
Chuck
this movie.
And
Maybe this was a Chuck edition, but Gage, the actual main villain, Vargas exists here for absolutely no reason. Gage like cares about his mom. There's like this whole subplot about him trying to pick up his mom to go to a doctor's appointment, and like his goons like also care about his mom, and like try to like one of them agrees to like go pick her up to take her to her doctor's appointment. That was kind of nice.
It's a good wholesome family movie about caring about your mother.
Yeah.
And what got me about that scene is he just slit this guy's throat, makes a comment about like you're either the guy hanging people from the ceiling or hanging from the ceiling,
Yeah.
and then turns to his number two guy. It's like, hey, would you mind doing me a favor? Like really asking him for a genuine favor on a human level from this guy
Yeah.
to go pick up his mom.
Hi, quick request. No problem either way. If you can, just reaching out.
Yeah. The editor had a lot of fun with this, I think. Like, whoever edited this, like, there are lots of shots of, like lots of sequences where you get, like, multiple shots in the same frame, like you do in, like, the Ocean's movies, or, like, a lot of heist films. Like, freeze frames and, like, random X's over stuff and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, I think I said this before, I think the movie is designed for you to lose interest every 5 minutes or so. Because you get regular and frequent recaps, and Seagal's plan of what he's doing changes every scene. Like when he's explaining to Lisa what he's about to do, the explanation changes every time he gives it. Like the plan is a little bit different every time he tells her what he's going to do.
I think that's just because he can't remember his lines, so he just makes up something new, and they have to roll with it.
Yeah. Pee-wee. I'm sorry about Pee-wee. He has one speaking line, does nothing, and then gets shot in the head.
Well, and you know how I talked about how this movie like hears me, it hears my thoughts, and then it responds to those accordingly.
Yeah.
This movie, and it had a few ways, a couple chances where it kind of like made me fondly remember like past Seagal movies. Like we've talked about this like weird Seagal nostalgia. Like I would watch this movie and there'd be certain elements that would make me think of past Seagal. Like when Pee-wee showed up and he had like the cowboy hat on, it made me think of like Cowboy Hat Dude from Into the Sun.
Yes.
And then they're like, take off that stupid cowboy hat. And I'm like, oh.
But
I'm like Pee-wee with the hat. And they're like, take off that hat. I'm like, oh.
But don't you remember the Yakuza with the mad drip?
I'm like, he had the cool
From
drip
Into
and the
the
cowboy
Sun?
hat. Let him wear his hat.
Give
like,
him
the
a-
movie heard my
give him a
thoughts,
fur
and that's why they
coat.
wrote it. That's why they wrote in the movie that Pee-wee had to lose his hat. And then Pee-wee dies. I'm sorry, Pee-wee, you deserve better.
And then yeah, at the end of the movie they just kind of like introduce this idea that Seagal randomly knows who Gage is, and they like have a mutual friend, and then Gage dies 30 seconds after he mentions this.
Also, worst villain death in any movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The scene of Gage getting shot is fucking pathetic.
He just kind of looks around like, oh no, man. It was
dying
bound to
now.
happen. He's,
Like, he
his
gets shot
eyes
and,
just
like-
kind of look up at Seagal and down in his chest, and then he just kind of falls limp.
But like the person getting shot and then kind of like, you see them stop moving, like the eye, like, they stop moving, but the eyes are still open and know they're dead. This is the worst version of that. Cause like you said, it's just awkward. Like the shot hangs on him too long as he kind of falls down and doesn't say anything, but just kind of like, huh, oh, well, okay. And then dies.
Yeah.
And he's smiling the
terrible.
whole time.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's like Seagal's death in Machete, except not funny.
This is not my favorite line. This is one of my least favorite lines, but here's a line.
Isn't that what it usually is?
The only thing she wants to see coming out of your pants is your money.
Yes, that is when he's talking about the strippers.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the stripper money line. That I was like, is that an allusion, a reference to something? No.
That's so dumb.
It's a reference to Seagal being a dumb, gross boomer who thinks he's funnier than he is.
Fair.
Yeah, and
That's
those are my notes.
My line was I wrote down two because I knew that we were all gonna have that Mike could be an illusion. So I wrote down another one. It's not as good, but when he and Lisa get to the sleazy hotel, and he just sits down on the he sits down on the end of the bed and just like does this big sigh. and like hunches forward real far.
Me.
Like
literally me.
Yeah. And she
Zachary
goes
is Steven Seagal.
No.
She looks at him and just says, "What time is it?" And he says, "Time for you to see if you could close those blinds for me, please." Because he's just like, he couldn't be asked to get up off the bed to close the blinds. What time is it? Time for you to close those blinds. So
He's
dumb.
just so
It's a-
dismissive of her. Oh my god.
Ugh.
And there's a follow-up like that, like trouble always comes when you're getting comfortable or something like that.
Yeah, he has like this
There's all those
voiceover.
voiceovers. That's a good point.
That we haven't talked about the voiceovers like at all. He has these random voiceovers that just come in and comment on what's going on and how like
For no
everything's
reason.
about to fall apart. And
It's like a mix between Ocean's 11 and like a black and white detective movie.
yeah, I expect him
Of
to
all-
at
of
some
all
point
the
say,
names,
"Mama
I don't know
always
this
said,"
movie.
and like it doesn't. I don't know.
One of the
what this is
lines
supposed
literally
to be.
said, it was a voiceover line that literally said, "Trouble always seems to find me in a little black dress." Like,
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
What? This is like, but with that same like upbeat, like cool guy music playing in the background. None of it made any sense. It was so strange. Everything about it was so strange. Like, this could have been an episode of Always Sunny if you replaced Seagal and all the other people with the cast of Always Sunny. This would have been
Yes,
that.
if you replace every character with the characters from this other show.
I'm
it
just
could
saying,
be
like
that show.
the storyline would fit in that universe, and you wouldn't miss a beat.
Ooh. What
Like,
if
it's that absurd.
What if Charlie Day wrote a Seagal movie?
I would love that so much. I would be over the moon. That would be amazing.
Like, let Charlie Day write a Seagal movie.
Please, oh my God, Seagal, come out of your maybe retirement that you're in and star in this movie if Charlie Day is the one who writes it.
What?
Is
What?
he retired or is he serving in the Russian army?
Oh,
yeah.
man.
What
Who
if we
knows?
just
Sorry, no, he was
let?
training them. I apologize. He was training them.
He's
Yeah.
honing his
Um,
chi.
What if we just
Oh.
let like accomplished writers and directors use like people like Seagal, like these terrible.
No, I had that thought while I was
actors?
watching this. Like, just imagine if you're like just such a brilliantly, like, undeniably accomplished actor, like, get to like, Patrick Stewart levels, and then you like just do these movies. Like, wouldn't that be so funny if like all you do is appear in like crappy like Seagal and like Neil Breen movies or something? Once you like, because like there's a certain point you can be successful, and then people would see it and be like, oh, he fell off, like he can't get good stuff anymore. You need to be at the point where undeniably like somebody watches this and they're like, he has to just be doing it for the laughs.
Like Ian McKellen comes and does like a Seagal style action movie.
So the only reason,
It'd be
like,
amazing.
that's basically where Daniel Radcliffe is now.
I was just about to
Like,
say.
this exists. That's Daniel Radcliffe in Guns Akimbo or whatever it was called.
But that's not bad enough.
or-
He should be in a Seagal movie.
If you had a better actor in a lot of these Seagal movies, it would have been that same
No,
level.
I want Keone Waxman to write a Daniel Radcliffe film. That's what I want.
Amazing.
I want Daniel Radcliffe to write, like, to hire Keone Waxman, write me a movie, and I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
And it can't be like intentionally bad. It can't be like
No.
subversive or can't be. It just has to be this.
Yeah. Yeah, just do it.
Do
Whatever it
Howard.
is.
Keone, I know you're listening.
Like, we've seen what Robert Rodriguez can do with Steven Seagal. Let's see what, like, the opposite of that, like what
So-
Keone Waxman can do with a good actor.
This guy, he has to be so close to retirement, and he has such a legacy. Wouldn't it be so funny if, like, for the last movie of his career, Roger Deakins shot a Steven Seagal movie? Like, imagine watching one of these movies, and then it's just like cinematographer Roger Deakins. You're like, what?
We get Spielberg on this.
and it has like a Hans Zimmer score. And I'm like, what? Hello?
Jonathan
truly-
Williams.
That would be peak movie. That would be art. That would.
Steven Spielberg and Jonathan Williams present Steven Seagal's Action Man, the movie.
John Williams and Steven Seagal present the
Action
action. Steven
Man.
Seagal is the Action Elites.
Yes. Yeah. International Killer, starring Steven Seagal.
Shot by Roger Deakins, score by Hans Zimmer. Also, John Williams. They work together on it.
It's their first collaboration on the soundtrack for
featuring
a film.
Brad Pitt.
But like the collaboration would have to be, you know how Seagal movies are more often than not divided up into like two distinct movies that happen entirely separately from one another. You could just have Hans Zimmer do the score for the first half of the movie, and John Williams do the score for the second half of the movie.
No, John Williams does just the climax.
Actually, can we get a Steven Seagal movie directed by David Lynch? That'd be amazing. David Lynch can make some real art. He could make a beautiful pot out of this lump of clay that we have here.
David Lynch presents Martin Scorsese's International Death, starring Steven Seagal.
Produced by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Sofia Coppola.
Brad Pitt. And Steven Seagal.
Medea.
Yeah, Medea's End of the Gun.
I mean, that's kind of what Machete was.
Kind of.
Like, that's almost what Machete was.
I miss
that's
Machete.
the thing is, that's kind of not to the extent of the maybe art that
it was
come out of something
Lindsay
like that.
Lohan. Like,
Well, no, but I'm saying this not Machete. I'm saying like that's what they wanted to do with the Expendables, and they wanted to bring Steven Seagal into the Expendables, and every single person involved said no, he's an asshole. We're not going to do that.
Yeah. So okay, imagine this movie, but replace Lisa with Angelina Jolie.
That would be interesting. I just want one of these where the poor actress that's forced to act alongside Steven Seagal, there's like you just get in a scene where she's supposed to be like really into him. Picture a scene where it's like the poor actress that's forced to act alongside Seagal, where she's supposed to be really into him for no obvious reason, no actual reason either. And just before they slice the scene, like just before it cuts to the next shot, you get this like where she just like has like one of those like she's like repulsed, like I can't believe I'm doing this, and they didn't catch it in editing. It's just like it's just cut just enough so that you see it for a split second of this poor woman like
and
or like
and it's played by Rosamund Pike.
His like hand touches her shoulder and you see her like wipe it off.
Speaking of Gone Girl.
Speaking of Gone. Hey, what's up? What's up, Gone Girlies? We're this is the Gone Girl fan cast. So
Roz all in, yike, we're in it. This is
So I think the only
God.
remaining note that I have is I think the only thing Seagal knows about villains is that they stand near chessboards.
Yeah.
there have been so many villains near chess.
Like just tangential to a chessboard, and only
Not
once,
being
like, does it
played.
affect the plot.
with pieces like randomly scattered across the board in areas that wouldn't make any sense.
So we've like, but in the past, like it's been like, here's like, you know, the Grand Master, here is like the mob boss, like this organization who's in charge of human trafficking, and like the guy is like, you know, some yes, hello, I am the villain, and he plays chess.
Only one man
like a dude that has
could beat me in one move like that.
Right. But this is just like the bad guy's just like a dude that has a warehouse. He's just like a guy that has a warehouse and wants money back. He's not like the sophisticated, preemie, elite, like, you know, mob boss. But
as far as we can tell, he has one guy that works for him.
Yeah, he has Knife Guy, who, by the way, I love Knife Guy, because they just like roll in and he's like, Knife Guy is just wearing sunglasses and throwing knives into like a wooden board like 3 feet away from him.
Yeah,
just practicing his knife throwing, and that's his thing. He throws knives. But then they go outside. And it's just like, it's not like in an office or anything. Like, again, the chessboard in the office of the villain makes sense. It's outside, like sitting on like a couple wooden pallets at this warehouse. Just a chessboard, and it's where the main villain has every single conversation with Lisa. Like when they're, I'll call Seagal and he'll come, you know, he'll think he's coming to rescue me, and that's when we'll get the money back. they're just sitting next to a chessboard. The pieces do not make any sense. Like there's not like the pieces are just randomly placed. There's no way that is a game in progress. They never interact with it. They never even reference the chessboard. It's like a chessboard and 3 empty coffee cups next to each other.
Yeah.
And this shouldn't have stuck out as much as it did, but I'm just like, why are they sitting next to this chessboard?
Well, they were playing 3-player chess. That's
I get, but like I think it's just because Seagal's like, how do we show they're a villain? And it's like just put a chessboard in there.
Because
Just have them sit
villains
next to a
are
chessboard?
smart. Heroes are dumb.
But villains just be next to chess. They don't even have to be good at chess. They just exist near chess.
No, so the difference, I think, in the Segalaverse, the difference between a villain and a hero is that villains do things that like
Segalaverse.
smart people do, and
Which is play
heroes
chess.
don't. Like
Yeah.
only
think
like
that's it.
pretentious smart people play chess and stuff. Like remember what was the one about child trafficking that was really gross? With like the rose
that Out of
and
Reach?
the orphanage, and he lived in like Alaska or something.
Yeah, no.
Was that Out of Reach?
That was Out of Reach, yes.
Yeah.
That was, but that actually like that's like the one where the guy's like, yes, I really like chess, and the girl like that he's like human trafficking, like kidnapping the orphan is like, yeah. Hell yeah, chess. Like they actually referenced the chessboard there.
Yeah.
But like I think
It's the same chessboard. They've just
I
brought it
think
along
in
from
the
set to set. to set.
Seagal idea of a villain, like what points out to an audience in Seagal's mind that the villain is that he does smart people things and like he is sophisticated. I think last episode I talked about like one of the ways that you know that the villain is that he has a college degree. Like they specifically point out that the villain is the one with the college degree and Seagal's character does not have a college degree, and like that's what makes them different.
We are not so different, you and I.
But this one truly is literally just there's a chessboard there.
Yeah.
in this-
It's
on
just
this
like
palette
in the
this
room.
round.
It's pointless, senseless.
I think my quote is this is a weird one because it's not a swear word, so I don't know how to, so I'm not gonna, it's weird. Whenever Seagal's talking to his cop friend who's a buddy, and he says something like, yeah, back when you were young, dumb, and full of, he doesn't say he says the thing. He says the 3-letter.
I was
I
so
don't wanna say it 'cause
offended
it
by
makes
this
me
line.
uncomfy.
I wrote it down.
doesn't-
It's in my notes.
Yeah.
I was so startled and offended by this line
Yes.
that did not
I hated
fit into this conversation at all.
no.
I am 100% certain that Seagal heard that somewhere
Oh, has to be.
and
It just
just
had to fit it into the
use
movie.
because he didn't invent this phrase.
Also, I just want to check in again because I've been swearing a few times, but you won't say that word. Have I been
No.
allowed to swear this?
well,
Zach's weird about what he won't.
because if I say
about
like
what he
I
will
can
and
bleep
won't
it out,
say,
that's normal. But saying young, dumb, and full of cum, I'm just like, that's weird. I don't know where that's on the border. I don't want to have a podcast that potentially my mom listens to, and I say young, dumb, and full of cum, and she hears me say cum, but also like I don't. It's not really. I don't know.
It's
gotta
a
be
very inappropriate. It's like a naughty word, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not on the list of swear
Naughty.
words.
Yeah.
I get it.
Zach, I want to be very honest. Your mother's a lovely woman who loves you very much. Do you think she's listening to 42 episodes of Steven Seagal review?
Okay, no, but I did one time.
My mother is.
I got a
Oh
Snapchat
my
from my mom, and she was like, I didn't actually realize what was playing at first, but we got like 13 minutes in, and then I looked up at the TV, and I realized that your dad put on the like, my dad opened up this podcast on Spotify on their, like, Roku, like, TV.
Oh my gosh.
So, this is, one must consider the
I stand
possibilities,
corrected.
Joshua.
I apologize for questioning your parents' love
Now,
and
has she
support.
listened to all 42
Your parents would
episodes?
listen to
No.
like 70 hours of Seagal commentary.
Yeah, they don't love you that
Aaron's
much.
watching these.
I've listened to
Aaron's-
them all, though.
Aaron's watching these movies with his dad.
Only a couple of them.
only a couple of them, let me be clear.
Yeah, let me be clear.
Yeah, but I think my favorite quote is when he said, my least favorite quote.
The most
His
memorable,
back
the
when
thing
you're
that
young.
got
That
stuck in your
yeah.
brain.
But purely because my most memorable was, my favorite would be, you're surrounded. Oh, it might appear that way, but it might seem.
Yeah.
But I knew we were all going to say that one. The movie I would probably say to watch instead. I mean, again, we've talked about like Taken way too often. Whenever I think about like, you know, a movie that has like a fight, like this movie has like a random like stock footage like video of like the Arc de Triomphe. So I saw that, and of course I thought like, you know, John Wick Chapter 4, which has like, you know, a excellent scene set like, you know, in the same region, like, you know, set in Paris, France. But we've said John Wick like at least for like half of these episodes. So I'm gonna say that I just watched the film I just got around to watching Poor Things recently. And I think it is like the antithesis of a Seagal movie. Where a Seagal movie is greasy, Poor Things, that's like that's not a greasy movie that slides right off you. That's like a fish hook to the cheek kind of movie that just
really is.
Gets in there, and you know you gotta like push the barb all the way through in order to get that hook out. But you're not going to forget it. So we actually, Hans and I, we watched Poor Things, and we agreed that not that Aaron would like it. We agreed that like Poor Things would be another Babylon.
Oh.
Poor Things would be Aaron would watch it and he would like respect the artistry but hate the movie.
I just saw something on Reddit.
Like to its extreme.
I just saw something on Reddit, like a post on the r/gaming. I didn't say it was bad. I said I hated it. Like that was the entire post.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was bad. I said I hated it. That's my relationship with Babylon.
And I don't think you would like Poor Things, but I think there would be a lot you would enjoy talking about Poor Things, but not like the movie itself.
I would be like so compelled that I would write like a 5 to 10 page like think piece on this movie.
There are a lot of themes in that movie that I'm not intelligent enough to unpack. We walked out of that movie and Zach and I were both like, I don't even know how to like recap what I just watched.
I loved it.
It was so out there. It was great.
For me.
It was great. I'm glad we went to see it. I didn't have any idea what it was, but it was weird.
But it has some scenes in Paris, France. So you know,
okay.
There you go. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, I guess it does. Not really what you'd expect, but yeah, it does.
It'll speak to my francophilic tendencies, but
perhaps I think in that specific way, there's some scenes you like. Just picture Beau is Afraid by like way of Caligula.
Oh no!
With like directed by David Lynch.
Oh no!
That kind of gives you.
Oh no!
The first here's what the first like 30 minutes of that movie are just like so little like hints of Eraserhead, but really more Elephant Man.
Oh,
like the first like 30 minutes of that movie are so incredibly Elephant Man.
Mixed with Tony Hawk.
Mixed with Tony Hawk and a little weird science.
Okay.
And
That's
and
not
also
really a good
kind
way
of
of
like
putting it.
Garbage Pail Kids.
There's a lot of fisheye lens.
A lot of like
a lot
early
more than you'd
like
expect.
picture like Beastie Boys like Skater 2 like, you know, VHS tapes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
okay, my problem is you're saying stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, and then you'll just throw in this curveball of like absolutely disgusting thing. I'm like, I don't like that anymore.
Yeah.
I would love this. It would be very similar to Babylon. I would love to hear you talk about it, but I don't think I would recommend it to you because I know you wouldn't enjoy your time watching it.
But Aaron, Josh, actually everyone on this call, do you enjoy Willem Dafoe just kind of being like a weird freaky man?
Yes, I do. Very much.
Oh, this movie has so much Willem Dafoe weird freaky man. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my.
He's the weirdest, freakiest man.
He is the weirdest, freakiest man.
So good. Okay, so yeah, you should watch Poor Things. I should rewatch Poor Things. I really like that one. You should watch Poor Things instead of End of a Gun.
The movie I'm gonna recommend, if you want the polar opposite of what you just watched, is Ocean's 8, the all-female led Ocean's movie.
Yeah, Ocean's 8.
It's an actual heist movie. Now, I didn't actually. Full disclosure, I've never actually seen this movie. It was very poorly reviewed, so I never went and saw it.
What?
Like
it was fun.
So I mean, I'll probably watch it at some point. But
it's not the best Ocean's movie, but it's not the worst Ocean's movie.
Well, that's good. Then they'll probably watch it at some point. But just like I just think it's the opposite of what I just watched in this Steven Skull film, End of a Gun. That it's an all-female led actual heist movie. This movie purports to be a heist movie. The heist takes 5 minutes, and you never see two women speak to each other. So if you want the opposite of that, then you can watch Ocean's 8.
You all keep saying heist. Heist is a really strong word.
Again,
but that's what the movie wants you to think of.
Oh,
it
it's
as.
framed
it's
like a heist. What it is
like a heist
petty
in the same
robbery.
way a dude stealing the catalytic converter off your car in the parking lot is doing a heist. Like in the same way, like a meth head junkie will just like run up and steal your wallet is a heist.
If they had a really cool soundtrack to play while they did it,
they
sure.
did like the cool split screen. This is happening over here, and then this is happening over here.
All the film
just
language tells me it's a heist. The film tells me that this is a carjacking. Like it's not.
But you barely doing a carjacking, like a car break-in.
This is like
it's
breaking
not
and entering
complicated.
at the worst.
But just picture like the Steven
murders.
Soderbergh do, and then like this screen goes over here and it's happening, and then and this screen goes over here, but nothing that's happening is interesting, and none of them actually directly like connect to one another.
Not at all.
This is like Ocean's 0. Star ratings.
I'm sorry, I think I interrupted Hans as he was about to say something before.
Hans.
No, not really.
Hans, what's your star rating?
My star rating, oh boy, I want to say a half, but we need a more intricate scale, because I guess this would probably sit closer to a 1, but just based off of the other stuff that I think I've rated it a 1, but it's pretty far down there. Not nearly as bad as Sniper Special Ops.
No.
Not nearly as bad as Submerged, but still bad.
Yeah.
Not good.
I think I made a grave mistake when I wrote my Letterboxd review for this.
Oh, I gotta read it. Hang on.
I gave it 2 stars.
2 stars? You gave this movie 2 stars?
Out of 5?
Because
2 whole stars, Aaron?
That's
talking
4
about
out of
it,
10.
I think what happened was I was so ruined by the previous 4 movies that I'm like, it's like if you give a dying man some water, it tastes sweet to him. Like if you're severely dehydrated, water tastes sweet. This Keone Waxman movie tasted sweet to me.
Compared specifically against Code of Honor, Sniper Special Ops, and the Asian Connection, and nothing else, maybe this is closer to the 2-star side of things.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to me.
Aaron, you gave On Deadly Ground 2 stars. Do you think that this is on par with that movie?
Close to On Deadly Ground.
You gave Out for Justice 2 stars.
Oh no, my scale is way off. My scale is broken.
As discussed. So what would you give it now, post-discussion?
I'd give it maybe a star if I'm feeling generous. Which I usually am, so half of what I gave it,
What about you, Josh?
Star to 1.5 stars. Not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Oh wow, okay, good.
But definitely won't watch it again or recommend it to anyone or ever think about it ever
Wouldn't
again.
expect you to.
You shouldn't.
Absolutely not.
It would be a fluke of the highest order if any of us were to ever actually recommend a Skull movie to anyone after this.
No, absolutely not. In fact, I will recommend to people don't.
Hey, you're not missing anything. You don't have to watch any.
That's the whole point of the podcast. Is we're watching them all, so no one else ever has to
watch them.
Truly, yeah, nobody.
And we can actually say that because so far we're the only ones who have gotten this far.
It is actually more pleasant to hear us talk about an 1.5 hour long movie for 2 hours than it is to just watch the 1.5 hour long movie.
Especially in the case of Sniper Special Ops.
My
Sorry,
gosh.
Bailey has gotten rather talkative right now.
That's okay. It's nice to.
That's okay. Toby's chewing on a bone in the background, so I keep muting and unmuting.
It's
No,
nice to be
it's
reminded
sitting
there's
next to me.
life going on.
I would give this. I'm with Josh 1 to 1. Like if I could give it 1.25 maybe. So we'll just say 1 star. Again, after what we've just watched, this was blessedly watchable. Like it was on, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
the things are happening. The things are only happening because it's like this is the time of the movie where the thing needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me be clear. This is maybe 30 minutes of plot in an hour and 26-minute
Yeah,
movie.
I mean, I didn't start looking at my phone until like 3/4 of the way through. So
Like, this movie is very, very boring, and the things that do happen
Such a low bar.
the things that do happen are very rote, very predictable,
Yeah.
very formulaic. But it like is not offensively bad. It actually has fewer weird Seagalisms than we've become used to.
yeah,
But it's not good.
I
You shouldn't watch
guess.
it.
don't watch it.
Literally any of the Ocean's movie. Watch Poor Things. Watch Taken. Watch John Wick. Like, if you are on a deserted island and somehow like you have like a DVD player and a DVD copy of End of a Gun, and it's like literally the only movie you have, just kind of sit on the beach and watch the waves come in, man, because that'll be a better
Sharpen
time.
the edge of the DVD and use it as like an axe or a knife or something.
Yeah.
It's more useful for you that way, like many times more useful for you in that way.
Actually, fun fact, DVDs and CDs are perfect for like rescue mirrors if you're
Yeah.
looking to signal a plane, because you can look through the hole to like, aim where the reflection is going to like, signal the attention from someone above. Use it for that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, island pro tips. Also, if a plane is going overhead, one hand waving means all good, okay, like I'm fine. Two hands waving means come help me. So if you're ever trapped on an island, don't just wave at the plane with one hand. They will just
Although
keep
I
going.
can't imagine a pilot
So
looking
wave.
down and
Yeah, I
there's
don't-
someone alone
That happened.
on
That's
the
a true
beach.
story. There was a man who died because he waved and the pilot thought it was all good and kept going.
Oh wow.
That has
Uh-huh.
happened.
Oh
my
So if
gosh.
you see a plane, if you need rescue, wave both hands.
Okay, I got it.
Survival tips with Zach.
Good to know.
You're gonna save my life.
Also,
one day.
survival tips. Don't watch 42 Steven Seagal movies over the
Don't.
course of a year.
I don't know how I'm still alive.
You will hate life.
This will be included in my martyrology.
This is what's going to get you the sainthood, actually. This is
Yeah.
when you have to perform a miracle, it's going to be buried somewhere.
You've suffered.
in here.
Part of my penance. It'll say in the
Absolutely.
hagiography, he endured many incredible penances.
I was gonna ask because I know like some sects of Christianity like do have that like self-flagellating like
Oh yeah,
torturing yourself. I was wondering if that has played like your approach
Oh, that's
to
part of-
Catholicism has
that's
also
part of Catholicism. Yeah, oh we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. familiar.
Oh, we do
Yeah.
that.
I'm just picturing, rather than like, say 3 Hail Marys, it's like someone does confession. It's like, okay, go home, like, apologize, watch 3 Seagals, and then you'll be all good.
Actually, I do have a confession that I feel like I should get off my chest.
Oh,
I did have to pay money to see this movie. So I did have to.
it
rent
was
it
on
Amazon.
Tubi.
Come on, Josh.
No one
When I
told me.
invited you here, No, not true. When I invited you here... Hold up. Where's the text? Hold on. I'm about
It's
to...
on
I'm catching
Tubi.
you
It's on
in the
Freevee.
lie,
It's
in the
on
bed you have made.
Fossum.
Zach's invite. Hello, are you free Wednesday, January 17th, around 8 p.m.? New text. And would you like?
Why around 8
And
p.m.?
would you be willing to watch End of a Gun 2016 starring Steven Seagal between now and then? New text. And then share your thoughts.
Did I not share that as available? Hold on. Did I
not.
Snapchat that? Did I not? I literally, when I texted you, I looked it up on Just Watch to confirm that this one had free options, so you didn't have to pay.
You did not.
Now I feel bad
To be
because
fair, I
I
could have done that, but I also was just like, this was yesterday, so I was like, I just need to watch this.
It's on Tubi.
I did not look around. I just pulled up the first thing I could find with it.
Was it Amazon?
It was Amazon. I spent $3.
Oh.
$3.
So Steven Seagal is getting probably a quarter of a penny from
We-
me. So
We could probably reimburse you for those $3.
Yeah, fill out the
is
proper
that in the
forms.
budget? Is that...
That we
Fill out the
that we can make
reimbursement
enough for the
form.
Patreon. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, submit your receipt. We'll have it. We'll send it to the finance department. We should actually end this. Thank you for joining us, Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
For End of a Gun.
Have you? How has
Not that
your
Josh was at the end of
expe-
a gun to get him to be on the
Yes.
show.
Which I'm sorry, we never did tie back.
Yeah.
End of a gun is not a saying. It's not
It's
a
something
thing.
Steven Seagal says in this. Okay, but It's really weird because this is actually one of the movies where the title more directly relates in some way than most of these movies.
Yeah.
Like you have issues with the title.
At least
those
he says it
are
at
valid.
the end.
I'm just like, it could have been like an abstract, like, oh, this is the end of like his career as a gunman, the end of a gun. But nope, there's no
it's like
indication
he
that's
says
it.
if you're just in it for the money and not the love, you're gonna find yourself at the end of a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in it just for the money, and he still found himself at the end of a gun.
He demonstrated that he was just in it for the money. Again, I reiterate, he literally prostituted himself for the 2 million euros.
Yes.
Negotiate 10%.
Yeah.
Then had sex with her, which she thought was part of the negotiation. Then bumped up to 50% of the cut.
Yeah.
So, Josh, you are correct. The title does not make any sense. It's not as good title. It makes more sense and is a better title than most of these movies.
Okay.
Like Sniper Special Ops, where there was less sniping than there was in this movie.
Or like Code of Honor, which is about a guy just vigilante killing people.
Yes.
Or a good man.
Yeah.
We don't need to revisit a good man. Thank you for joining us for End of a Gun. Up next, we have Contract to Kill. Guess what? when we thought the Keone times were over, the Keone times come back and they keep rolling. Directed by and written by Keone Waxman. Produced by Keone Waxman.
Oh no.
This poster does not look good. This looks really bad. But fortunately, Josh will not have to join us. He can just listen to us from the comfort and safety of his favorite pod catching app, which you should be.
Whenever
tell your
this
friends
one
to
comes
listen.
out, who knows?
Don't tell your friends to listen.
This poster.
Bad.
This poster.
Now that my recording's at 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an episode somewhere.
Is
in
it
there.
really
an
that
hour
long?
longer
Oh,
than
my
the
God.
movie that we were talking about.
Feel free to
Woof.
trim down my summary because that was way too much.
No, I'm not trimming the summary.
No, it was
that's not being
perfect.
trimmed. Yeah. No, that's it. Should we stop our recordings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That means one of us has to die.
One day you will, once this episode
Hey,
airs.
whenever you have a podcast, you're going to be forced to listen to yourself, and Hans and I were just talking about this the other day, and learn every single like vocal tick and like recurring thing that you do, and it sucks.
All of the little irritating things that you do
And it's
without noticing.
painful.